This episode is brought to you by Whitaker Garage Doors, your one-stop shop for all things garage doors, proudly based in Peekskill, New York. Your home is a direct reflection of your personal style, and let's face it, your garage doors are the first thing people see when they pull up your driveway. Whether you're looking for the timeless charm of a classic carriage house door or the clean, sleek look of a basic wood finish, Whitaker Garage Doors offers traditional options for every taste and budget. I can personally vouch for their incredible service. When I had my own garage doors done, I was blown away by their timeliness, professionalism, and overall respect for their clients. Jonathan, Cassara, and their entire team are top-notch, and they really go the extra mile to ensure you're happy with the final result. So if you're in the market for a new garage door or need some repairs, give them a call or find them on Instagram at Whitaker_doors. Don't forget to tell them you're a friend of Dave's over at the No Snooze podcast. Whitaker Doors. You won't regret it. Now, back to the epi. Adversity? Bring it. The struggle? I welcome it. Snooze on life? Never that. I am Dave Reggina, and this is the No Snooze podcast. Come on. Welcome back, No Snooze Podcast, episode 245, and another episode of our interview series. I hope you guys get as much from this one as I did. Let's get into it, baby.
So I have Dave Reggina with me today, who I am honored and blessed to have here with me. This has been a long time in the works. This has been a long time coming. I'm super excited about this. Dave, I know you are a recently published author, new book, 30 Lessons to Lead. You are an activist in the male community looking to engage and build up what it is to be a man of high value, high worth, high substance and sustenance in modern day culture. You lead a group that you've created called Action Cultivates Excellence, which I love, and I'm honored to eventually be a part of in my own journey, in my growth. You're a father, you're a child of God, you are a public speaker, and I'm honored to have you here today just to kind of pick your brain, have a conversation, get to know you. And again, this has been a long time coming, so I'm so amped to have this conversation with you because not that our journeys are the same, but they're very similar. And this is also going to be a platform for me to pick your brain and to learn, which I enjoy being somebody in the room that has so much to learn from somebody because it shows that I'm in the right room. So I appreciate you being here, and I'm hoping you can give the audience just kind of a understanding of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, man. Well, first and foremost, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for the kind words, my brother. I really appreciate you. We had a wonderful conversation on the phone, and you know, I like to believe that I'm a good judge in character, and I do feel that there's a lot of alignment there. So I'm happy to be here, happy to support you. Want to give you your flowers as well, and everything that you're doing. I see what you're doing, and I like it. And also, you know, I think just to ground us, man, we're both just men of God, but we're very grateful, right? Yeah. Grateful to be here. And you know, there's a very alarming statistic that I go to often, but 170,000 people didn't wake up today, you know, but you and I did. The person listening to this did. And that's pivotal, right? Because every single day is an opportunity. But with these opportunities, we have little micro choices that need to be made on a daily basis. So people see where I'm at now. However, I was not always this way. Right. So I want to be very clear on that. Yep.
So what got you here? I mean, we all know that like pain transmutes to purpose eventually, right? Like usually the substance of pain is the antagonist for somebody to build that chink in their armor over time. So I'm sure for you to get to the position and the point that you're at in life, who you are, what you're offering other people does not come from being born with a silver spoon in your mouth by any means. So I'm looking to see exactly what got you in the position that you're in now and why you chose to be in this path of service.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think servant leadership is everything to me now, and a life without service is very dead and very empty. But when I'm thinking of action cultivates excellence, right, and I have to acknowledge my business partner, Sean Degnan, who's also one of my best friends in the world. It's the thing that we needed the most at a pivotal time in our lives, right? I could take you all the way back from, growing up in Mount Vernon, New York. I moved 13 times before I hit college. There was a lot of adverse moments in the home. Still came from a very loving household, but mom was addicted to drugs and alcohol. Dad was a real hard worker, multiple jobs. And then by the time of, I was probably 13 or 14, I was living with him full time. So there was that chaos in the household. But other than that, grew up pretty normal in a sense of very middle class family, a lot of outdoor activities, brother and sister. And, around 16 years old was, I think, a real pivotal time in my life because that's when I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. Okay. And a lot of people see me now, and I'm 240 pounds. And back then I was 153 pounds. Right. So I was walking around in high school, about 190 at that time, and I got sick, man. And, my stomach would start to just hurt in class, and I didn't know what it was. And then I'd have to run out of class, and I'd go throw up. And then I'm going to the bathroom 5 times a day, and we're like, what is that? They put me on all these different tests and medications. Eventually do the colonoscopy to find out that I was riddled with Crohn's disease. For anyone who doesn't know what Crohn's disease is, if you can imagine, you have 28 or so feet of intestine, small intestine, large intestine through your esophagus. And in those intestines, there's like these white ulcers. So anytime food hits that digestive tract, it's almost like sandpaper on an open wound, right? Like, it just kind of gives you that. Yeah. So I struggled with that for years, man. But I was always a popular kid per se. But that was the first time in my life I started getting made fun of big time. Everyone was like, yo, ramen Reg, because my arm looked like ramen noodles. But in my mind, I was like, nah, not me. Like, I'm not going out like this. And even then, the doctors told me that I was going to, live with this for the rest of my life because Crohn's disease is chronic, so it means forever. And I said, no problem. Like, I'll live with it if that's the case, but this is not going to bring me down. Yeah. And that's what started my journey into health and wellness. Right. So you have that aspect of my life, which is the disease part. Then, I went through a lot of relationships coming up. Had a couple girlfriends, and always was a kind guy, but like really never like honest. Like a real liar. Yeah. I was just very manipulative, very selfish, very into myself, and I thought that my way of doing things was the right way. And if there was a disagreement, I would just raise my voice louder than you, and that was going to be the thing that was going to get you to retreat because that's what I knew. I ended up getting married when I was 24 years old, divorced and in a very healthy relationship now. I want to be clear about that. But I made a lot of mistakes, man, early in my 20s. A lot of binge drinking, a lot of drug use, recreational drug use. Never really centered in any level of faith. And then I got to a rock bottom. And I'm that type of guy. I was telling the guys at, our ACE dinner this month, like, I'm the type of guy, like, I really need to test the waters. Like, if things are, like, teetering bad, I'm like, show me more. Like, I'm going to continue to do it my way because my way is the only way. Yep. So, I end up getting to a point where I found myself, like, in an affair and, seeking attention from women while I was married, binge drinking, popping bottles, going to Miami for the weekend. And that was a really dark place for me. Really, really dark. So I end up coming out of that, and I come clean, and I, tell my wife at the time, like, hey, this is what's going on. She also was very obvious what was going on, but ended up coming clean, and I found myself basically like checking into therapy. And I just want to set the stage on therapy because I'm a firm believer that therapy can change your life. However, my first encounter with therapy was disgusting. I was 15, 16 years old. I was with a family member, and that family member completely lied and manipulated this therapist for that therapist to look me in the face, discredit my feelings, tell me that I was a anger-driven individual that needed help. Yep. Didn't want to listen to anything, and I was telling the truth. So I just want to be clear about that, especially to men who are listening to this. I was that guy that did not believe in therapy. So then I became obsessed with therapy because I was like, wow, it's kind of fixing my marriage at the time. I need my own therapist. And I dove fully in. And then that's where I really started to shift my life into personal professional development around not too long ago, man, 2017-ish. So that kind of sets the stage, I guess, to, a little bit of where I'm at today.
So now with you shifting into this new stage of where you're at, and I assume that this marriage that you were in wound up being separated, so it failed. But obviously, where one door closes, another one opens.
Yes.
Sometimes the prophecy that you create yourself is not the plan that's actually set in stone for you. So obviously, you're going down a much better trajectory that you're on now. My question to you is, when you're at this state, you're getting all this mental health and you're implementing, you're not just listening, you are implementing into tangible modalities and strategies. Where was that initial pivotal point for you to say, you know what I'm doing in my life, I want to give to everybody else. I want people to not be beneath me, but on my level of healing, of giving, of serving, and of building people up in the same state of mind that I'm in. Where was that moment where it kind of clicked for you and you're like, this is my passion, this is my goal, this is my drive, this is what I'm doing with Ace?
Yeah, so I don't know a moment per se on that, but one moment sticks out to me with my mom.
Awesome.
And my mom, she... I mean, man, I get the chills when I talk about her because she's 7+ years sober. I love her to death. I shout her out every time I have an opportunity to do so because she is a hero of mine. She's one of my best friends, but it wasn't always that way. And at that same time in 2017, she was really going through it. Right. She had lost her job and, things were not good. Bottom of the bottom for anybody out there that's listening that understands what addiction looks like. And, somehow she's basically detoxing at my house. And we tried out all these outpatient programs, right? And outpatient is exactly what it sounds like. You go to the facility, you leave. And the doctor was like, listen, man, you need to find her inpatient. There's no other option. So he's like, but I need you to administer the Xanax to her because at this time she was heavily addicted to Xanax, but you withdraw someone, this is something that I didn't know. If you withdraw somebody cold turkey, they could actually die.
Yes.
So he said, here, this is the formula. You're going to give her one Xanax, one sugar pill, one Xanax, one sugar pill. Every time I gave this chick a sugar pill, she knew exactly what it was.
Yep.
She knew. And now we're into the middle of the night, man, and I'm trying to sleep. And she's knocking on my door. And every 5 minutes, it seemed like David, I need my pills. I need my pills. I need my pills. Finally, I get to a point where I snapped. And, I got kind of ugly. And I bring her into the guest room. I sit down right next to her. And I poured all the pills in my hand, all the real ones. And I said, unless a higher power can save you, there's nothing that I can do for you. And she started crying and she said, you want me to die? And I said, no, I don't want you to die, but I just want you to be happy. And in that moment, this woman who's been addicted for over 25, 30 years takes one pill. And I remember it very vividly. Her eyes rolled to the back of her head and her head hit the headboard behind her. And I'm like, there's no way that she just died. But I'm kind of like at this peaceful place. It's weird.
Yep.
And I get closer and I'm like, wow, she's still breathing. Let me let her sleep. And she hadn't slept in days. So I go back to bed. I don't know if it's the right decision or not. Should I call the cops? Whatever. I just go to finally fall asleep. And about 5-6 hours later, man, I get a knock. And it was different. And I look up and it was my mom. And she said, David, I'm ready to get sober. And that moment right there made me realize that there was something out there much bigger. So I put her in this facility. Literally, when we put her down, above her is the Serenity Prayer. Me and my brother and sister were out there, we're crying, and it was a real emotional moment for us. 30 days later, she walks out sober, and today she's 7 years clean. So that was proof in the pudding that, okay, whatever you're doing, there's something more out there.
Right.
So from that moment, I then started listening to sermons. Right. Every day I would listen to about 30 minutes of a faith-based sermon because now I believed. Right? I didn't know what I really believed, but Joel Osteen kind of hit for me. And, I know he's a little bit corny, but he's that blend of biblical stories and motivational speaking. So I started listening to that on top of abolishing my rap music. And I love rap music, but I started abolishing it because the money, the women, the drugs, all of that was becoming my life. So I said, let me start listening to things that are a little bit more positive, a little bit more influential. I started listening to Tony Robbins, Ed Mylett, E.T., the hip hop preacher, all the guys that I now look up to and have even had a opportunity to connect with certain individuals on that level. They changed my life. So I started to slowly listen, and not only listen like you said before, but starting to put in play these little things. save $500 from this paycheck. Get up, hydrate yourself, say a little prayer in the morning. And I started to stack these things over the course of 3 years. And I completely shifted my entire life. Every single thing, from finances, my fitness, my relationships, everything got better. And I said, wow, I need to do that now. Because now that I've been able to do it, I am a leader of my life and I do have this voice, but I can help people too. And that's what then started my podcast. And then that's how the life of service really began for me.
So, and I apologize for not even shouting that at the beginning. You are in charge of No Snooze podcast, right? And I understand that even the name in and of itself, it's when that alarm goes off, there's no snooze in that timer. You're up, you're at it, and it's the very second it goes off, you start your day, which is the epitome and the embodiment, in my opinion, of what you're looking for as disciplinary action. That's the first step that you give to yourself at the very beginning of the day as a tangible win that you're allowing yourself to feel to show that you have that disciplinary action, right? So in this podcast, is this where a lot of your following was built for the Action Cultivates Excellence? Is this where your voice started to reach the masses and these men that were really looking to embody what it is that you are looking to give out and to teach?
Yeah. And shout out to my partner in No Snooze, Claudio Valenzuela. He's been with me from day one. You know, we started in the basement together and we shifted all over the place. And we're 240 plus episodes in now. So yeah, I mean, we were doing some interviews and I had a co-host at the time, Mike Pirelli. And we did about 150 or so episodes before we really had like real traction. And then I think it was like episode 156 that Yahoo like wrote a story on it. And then from there, it was like the floodgates kind of opened. But I want to be clear, and I think that's a lesson in just discipline and consistency itself, right? Like I showed up every single week for 3.5 years before anybody outside of New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, maybe Florida started to listen to this podcast. Right. So that's just a message for anybody out there that's chasing content and doing the thing. Like it's a grind for sure. But then, you know, something started to shift and I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in God.
100%.
So the day that my co-host, Mike Pirelli, leaves the show, I substitute this individual that I met, Sean Degnan. Sean comes onto the show. We had some mutuals. I went to school with his older sister, Caitlin. I went to college with her. She was always talking to me about my brother. He's into personal and professional development. And in my head, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, we'll connect at some point. I end up at a networking event. And that same day, I had gone to the gym in the morning. And I see this guy. And I'm like, I kind of think I know him. So then I see Sean at the event. And I'm like, yo, I just saw you at this event. He's like, nah, man. I mean, at the gym. He's like, nah, I wasn't at the gym this morning, but my brother was. I said, show me a picture, man. And it was his brother.
Okay.
So I'm like, wow, okay. So I go to the event and the alignment was crazy. Like he was just, I mean, just a great guy. We were talking about like business. We were talking about goals. And meanwhile, everyone else is like drinking around us. So I said, yo, man, you got to come on the show. We got to do something. And that conversation was different because I've been this way for some years now. But, you know, when you meet other guys that look like you, you're not really thinking of the vulnerable conversations. This guy jumps on the podcast. He starts talking about like, you know, his depressive bouts in life, how he's battled anxiety, and just some real pivotal moments to where like he's been able to now find the formula. And the formula was very similar. So by the end of that episode, we were like, yo, man, we got to do something, dude. Like, we got to figure this out. And that's where Action Cultivates Excellence started, you know, and we started with a 3-day transformative event, which is something that I also want to be clear about. Now, I guess I could talk about this. We kind of just took a cell phone out and just hit record. And we went to this massive property, 190 acres down in New Paltz. We had nothing, Ian. When I tell you nothing, but we got on that phone and we said, listen, we got a 3-day transformational experience that's coming to you. We got elite speakers, we got cold plunging, we got outdoor workouts, we got this, we got that, all meals included. We had nothing. But it's just a testament to what we truly believed the mission of ACE was going to be. And now, not only was that event, everything that it was said on the camera, it now 10x'd. And now we'll be doing our third one, which you'll be attending as well.
I'm so excited.
And it's been a game changer, man. 35 plus events in the past, year and a half, and we're just rocking.
I want to talk to you about faith for a second, because I think what you did not that you alluded to it, but obviously the plan that we create for ourselves is never going to match up with the prophecy that he has for us, right? Mm-hmm. And I think what you did was you didn't manifest what you were talking about. And this is just my own opinion of manifestation. I think that this is all something that innately and ingrained already belonged to a version of yourself that you had to become in order to call in what his plan was for you. So in doing so, do you feel that when you had that event and it met the standards of everything that you projected and put out into this world, because there is no such thing as coincidence. It doesn't exist. There's no such thing as luck either. And again, for those that are listening, that's my own perception. That's my own perspective on life. I do believe that we are blessed and given the unique talents, the gifts, and the choices to create or cultivate a life for ourselves that will align with the highest version of who we can become and be, that is destined and already belongs to us. So what I think happened is you put that out into the universe. God had responded and said, here you go. You've already matched that frequency now, right? Mm-hmm. Is that the trajectory that aligned you to be now in this faithfulness of where you got recently baptized? God bless, by the way.
Thank you, my
Love
brother.
that for you,
Thank
bro.
you. Thank
Love
you.
that for you.
Thank you.
Where you recently got baptized, and was that the pivotal moment in your life where you're like, you know what? I'm going to fully lean into this, into God, into Christ, into whatever this higher something might be.
Mm-hmm. You know, again, I was struggling with like a specific moment.
Yep.
But somebody that has always been speaking a blessing over me is my barber.
Interesting.
Erwin Gilliam. I mean, this man, when I first walked into his barbershop, and it's a black barbershop, by the way, and I say that because it's not your typical, like, barbershop, right? Like, you look in, and I've only gotten cut by black guys my entire life. I grew up in Mount Vernon, New York. Like, I'm a little iffy almost. I don't care how racist it sounds. Iffy of anyone else cutting my hair because I've only been cut by black guys.
He does a fire
That's
beard.
what I'm saying.
Fire beard, by the way.
And listen, I'm a couple days removed from him.
Don't matter.
But
it's still clean,
I sat
dude.
down in this man's chair for the very first time, and he said, "Oh my God!" And I said, "What?" Like I'm walking in on like some tough guy stuff. He's like, "You have an anointing on you." I said, "What is that? What is that?" And he's just like, "It's an anointing, my brother. It's an anointing in Jesus' name." I'm like, this dude is whacked. Then I start hearing, and I think in my vocabulary, I was cursing a lot. He said he would tap me on the shoulder. "Yo, my brother, this is a Christian barbershop. Christian barber." I'm like, "Yo, cut my hair and get me out of here, dude. Like, where am I right now?" So the cut was so fire, though, I had to keep going back. And everybody, although that was the atmosphere of the barbershop, everybody was accepted. But now I just like kind of stopped cursing in the barbershop, like, you know, little things. But that was over 12 years ago.
Yeah, man.
So he was the very first one that kind of put this
planted that seed, dude.
And then every hour that we would spend together every week, he would kind of just start talking about like the Bible. But Dave Reggina was not living any biblical way for years. And this is the other thing about faith too that I think is so beautiful. Even when I had that epiphany of a moment with my mother, I still continued to drink. I still continued to make bad decisions. I still continued to do all the things. But I started to feel that something was there. I believed, not a conviction at the time. I did not feel convicted because I was doing some bad things, and I would continue to do the bad things. So conviction was not the word.
Got it.
But I started to feel some level of something. And then the path got clearer and clearer to me. Then I happened to do a 30-day challenge, and I really wanted to stop drinking. And I agreed to do this with Sean, right? And I was dating around, and again, at that time, I was drinking a lot. But I was like, you know what? I feel this calling on me to stop. So let me do the 30 days. So I do the 30 days. I'm actually day 16. I reconnect with this beautiful woman from college. And I say, "Hey, like, you want to go on a date?" And she's like, "I don't really want to go on a date." I said, No. It's not a date. It's a catch up. Let's go on a catch up because I haven't seen you in 10 years. Like, let's go. So now I'm like a little bit nervous. Right. And I'm like, wait, how am I going to connect with this woman and not have a drink? So we go to Catch Steakhouse in the city, and literally the waitress comes over, and I don't know what I'm going to do. And the waitress is like, "Hey, what do you want to drink?" And she's like, "Oh, I'll take a virgin mojito." I said, "Why'd you do that?" And she's like, "Oh, I stopped drinking like 6 months ago." I'm like, "Thank you, Jesus." So at that time, I started to see and pick up on the signs that were in my life. And now this woman who, was a true blessing, kind of came in and was now in alignment. So we started dating, and the first thing that she kind of gifted me with was like a Bible, and I was like, I don't really know. Like I would hold it and not really like dive into it. But the version that she got was called Every Man's Bible. And it's specific to men and the adversities that they face. Right. And it talks a lot about like the bad decisions that we make. There's a lot of like, adultery in there, and how to deal with mistakes and how to deal with drinking and drugs and just not living life the right way. And that's the kind of Bible that I needed. So I just started to really pick it up, and then together we've been dating now, and I'm very excited for our future. But we got baptized together, so the walk kind of just came together through a bunch of those moments.
So do you give her kind of that credit of putting that path, illuminating that path and opening up that doorway?
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people miss this part. Like, although God is right there at the center, right? Like I do believe in community,
100%.
And like my mom was a driving force for me to get closer to God, because God didn't come into my life and use me in that moment. He used my mom. Right. And that's the thing I think people miss, too, is you expect this thing to happen to you. Like that moment was the most pivotal thing in my life. And it didn't even happen to me. It happened to my mom. He did it to her.
Yep.
So he used her to get to me.
Yep.
Right. And then he drops this little angel, Catherine of mine, like right here for me. So I start following, drop my business partner, Sean Degnan, right there. So now it's like these things I can't deny. And now I'm fully in. I mean, I have a daughter as well, and being a father is the most important thing to me, man. Like, just having a human being that looks up to me the way that she does, and knowing all of the mistakes that I made to now be in the place that I am, and for her to see me here, I need to stay here. And the way that I do that is through God.
There's two things I want to comment on. I do want to comment on you being a father first, because I follow you on social media, of course. I see what you post with her. I see the interactions that you have with her. And I think most men could learn a thing or two watching the way that you interact with your daughter. Because what you're doing, and I think that all fathers need to hear this if they have a daughter, you are showing her what it is to be treated by a man in her life, what it is to be loved, what it is to be cared for, what it is to be nurtured. And I think what you're doing, at least from what I can see, and I know you're not putting on a front, I know that this is genuinely you as a father. I think what you're doing with your little girl is one of the most beautiful things that I've ever seen. As someone who's not a father, that I strive more than anything in this world one day to be blessed with a child, because I would love to be a father. It is warming to me to see that men like you are capable of providing that level of substance to a young woman, so that she grows up in a very difficult world that is literally now meant to ruin and tarnish a self-worth and identity, because it's getting harder for women to grow up, and men. But we're in a much different generation now. So I think you're doing a beautiful job. I think you're doing an amazing job. God bless you for that. And I think the things and the impact that you're going to wind up having on her life is going to go far beyond anything that you can imagine. So I just want to say that to you face to face, because I do know a lot of men that have daughters, and I see the polar opposite, right? I see the way they speak to their wife in front of them. I see how they're not present. I see that they're on their phone, and I remember, and I don't think I'm wrong, but I remember you putting a post up maybe about the presence in front of your daughter, right? Not being on your phone or something like that. Okay, so my memory jogs correct. Yeah. Like to me, I do that with my dog, because that's what I got. Like when I'm with my dog, my phone is not in my hand. Like my attention, my love is devoted to her at that moment. When I'm with my boys, or if I'm on a date, my attention is devoted right to them. And I think, again, what you're doing is you're showing her what it is to be tended to in that moment, right? That's the real form of intimacy. Intimacy, in my opinion, is not just about like a male and a woman. It's about seeing into them and being present with them. And the legacy of presence that you're leaving in this girl's life, bro, is dope.
Thank
you. So I just
brother.
want to say that.
Thank you. Right? I appreciate that. That's the best compliment
100%,
that I can
bro.
receive.
Yeah.
But even with that, and to tie it back, she taught me so much.
Sure.
I mean, so much, man. Like, and just to set the stage on and to give clarity on it. Like, me and her mom, we split up when she was 1.5. And right at that time, I had my daughter 4 times a week. We had 50%. But I didn't know how to brush her hair properly. I didn't know how to clean her private parts. But I was given that responsibility. So, like, what are you going to do? You're going to figure it out. And this is on top of me trying to build business, me as a deputy commissioner, like me dating around, doing all the things. And it was a really hard time in my life. It was not easy. And there was one point I was getting very snappy with her. Like my patience was really, really running dry. And anybody who has a 1.5, 2-year-old,
sure.
they're kind of on their own time. And she was a little fussy because she was always used to like mommy putting her to bed at that time. Daddy would always be there, like always. But what I've noticed when you're in a 2-parent household, you do rely a lot on the other individual.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Regardless of what anyone says.
Yeah.
And a mother typically does more than the father, right? Just how it is. So when I had this responsibility now, I like really couldn't even be on my phone or anything because she's only 1.5 and she's crashing into the side of the thing. And I'm not trying to send her back to her mom with a lump on her head. So I was getting very impatient. And I remember putting worship music in my ear. And I still remember the song Jireh. And for whatever reason, I started to follow these voices in my head. And at that time, it told me to pray. So I didn't know how to pray. And I even still, like, people say that I'm like pastoral or whatever with my approach. I just started talking and I would say, God, please, I'm in a really tough spot right now. Show me some light. And something would say like, hey, put music on. So literally while my daughter's having a whatever kind of 1.5-year-old attack over there, I'm listening to Jireh and this peace would come over me. And then I was able to like continue to wash the dishes. And then I would bring her her stepper over and I'd put her in there and I'd put a little fake sponge in her hand and I would let the water roll. And we had a great time together. And from that moment on, I noticed that all I have to do is include her in the things that I'm doing. Because a lot of parents out there, they wait for their children to go to sleep. They wait for their children to, I guess not be in the picture, to clean their house, to cook the food, to do all the things. I didn't have that level of, I didn't have that opportunity because if she was away from me, she was, going to get into some trouble. So I just did everything with her. And by everything, I mean everything. We made the bed together. And why do we make the bed, Callie? Because it's healthy habits.
100%.
We would cook together and we would clean together and we would pray together. Every night she says a prayer. She says, dear God, thank you for my family. Thank you for my friends. Please keep us safe and please keep us healthy. And that's her version of prayer. So the answer to that is integrating God into it and allowing my child to kind of be a part of the chaos. And I also want to show her what a real man is.
Yeah, bro.
And how important it is to have feelings. And when she cries, there's a story in my book about her on the monkey bars. And she got to a point that she was really good on the monkey bars. And then for whatever reason, she forgot how to do the monkey bars. So she gets on and she falls off and she starts bursting into tears. And these other kids are in the park and they run over to her and they're like, oh, stop crying, stop crying. I said, yo, my man, excuse me. I said, Callie, come here. I said, you could cry on my shoulder. And she said, why? I said, because it's okay to cry. It's okay. You don't worry about these people right here. Just cry. And then after she cried for a little bit, I said, are you okay? That's the first. I started feeling her elbows and making sure she was okay. She said, I'm okay. She said, I want to try again. I didn't even have to tell her, yo, get up, try again.
Yep.
It's in our instinct as a human being. We want compassion. We want empathy. And when you receive that, you want to get out there and do it again.
Bro.
And this is at the age of 4. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
So that lesson right there, to me, said it all. And I'm like, this is exactly how I have to show up for my child. And I also want to be clear, I'm not perfect. I'm far from it. I still lose my temper and I still get impatient with her.
That's fleshly, but that's part of being human, bro.
But I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, and I just always keep saying that type of stuff because I don't ever want anybody to think that like, oh my God, just because you're at this level now, you can't relate to the old. Because just not too long ago, man, I was on the complete opposite side. For the past 5 years, I've trusted Kai Vision Studio with my podcast. And every time, Claudio delivers an exceptional experience. The setup here is flawless. Professional lighting, crystal clear audio, and a custom set that makes every episode look elite. As someone who speaks on leadership, I know how important it is to show up with clarity and confidence. This studio allows me to do just that. The quality here isn't just about the equipment, it's about the environment. Claudio has created a space where I can focus on my message, knowing the production will be sharp, engaging, and professional. In a world flooded with content, standing out matters. And having a studio like this gives me the edge to produce videos and podcasts that truly connect with my audience. If you're serious about creating high-quality content, I can't recommend Kai Visions enough. Claudio makes you feel at home, yet delivers at the highest level. 5 years in, I'm not going anywhere else. You
know, there's something, I'm going to tap into that first, is I do believe that empathy and compassion is a breeding ground for the refinement of what I would consider to be courage. And most people think that courage is this absence of fear, and it's not. It's the ability to act in the face of something that's complicated and something that could be considered to be adversity, right? So the fact that you're teaching your daughter what it is just by a simple act of love, empathy, and compassion to be courageous at a young age, she's going to carry that with her for a long time, bro. Long time. You said something about your pastoral delivery. Do you know how to judge somebody about their delivery to know if it holds weight?
No.
It's by how many people listen. And people are listening to you. So I do want to tell you that also. So yeah, you definitely do have this delivery about you, which is pastoral, but there's a dominating factor behind it in a godly manner, right? And I think that you have this weight of glory on your life because you have the masses that are listening to you. That's how you know when someone's words are powerful and potent. That's how you know that that anointing, for example, is on your life. So I think you should listen to that, feed that, and embody that pastoral kind of delivery that you have about you, because I think the more that you lean into what naturally and innately belongs to you, brother, whoever you're reaching now is going to be infinitely larger, right?
Thank you. I received that, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Yeah, bro. So we both got baptized within like 3 weeks of one another, right? And I will tell you, no one warned me about how difficult it was going to be to become a Christian, right? I used the word conviction to you before. My question to you is, what are the difficulties that you feel like you're facing? Because waking up every day and having to break my flesh and carry my cross willingly over and over, and to feel this conviction, to change my music taste. The first time we spoke on the phone, you noticed I didn't curse. You called me out on it right away. And that's something that I had to work on. You know, even engaging with women the same way has been difficult because I'm so acclimated to a certain way for the last 33 years of my life. That had to change. And having this feeling in my stomach when I know I'm doing something wrong, or I know I'm not reflecting Christ, and I know I'm reflecting more of the world around me and getting gut punched, has been the most difficult process of this entire thing. So what do you think, in your opinion, now that you have been baptized and you have been walking this path in this faith, what have you felt has been unknowingly difficult for you?
Yeah, I got baptized April 27th, 2025. I still remember. It was a beautiful experience. You're very deep, my brother. You are. I'm talking to you, and you know I'm listening to your words, and I'm seeing you, and you think about things definitely differently than I do, which I love, and I appreciate your thought process. I wouldn't say that I wake up every day and feel challenged or it's hard to be a Christian. My walk is my walk.
100%.
Your walk is your walk.
Yeah.
The person listening is their walk. I know that I'm very imperfect, and I know that a lot of things that we do on a daily basis is very sinful, i.e., lust, whether you're intentionally lusting or you're just scrolling through Instagram, the fact that you're
for a
seeing
second,
it, you know what I mean? Like it is what it is. I think, premarital sex is another thing, right? So like if I get caught up in all of that, I don't know if I would really be able to function to my best ability. What I try to avoid now are the big mistakes, right? Like I know for me that alcohol is not an option right now because I've identified a lot of anxiety, a lot of anger that are triggers from my drinking. So that's one thing. Me with my mouth, I curse, sporadically, definitely less than I did before. But also like, part of scripture is the only person that can judge the heart is God.
100%.
And I know that my heart is in the right place right now. It is. But just because my heart is in the right place it doesn't mean that I'm even close to perfect.
Well, the only one who was perfect already died, dude.
Of course. And even that, like, you know, I think it's in the book of Mark, you know, it talks about servant leadership, right? And how even Jesus himself was not sent here to be served. He was to be of service.
Correct.
So I am doing the things that I can apply and take from the Bible and put into my own life.
Yeah.
And when I do that, my life is better. So I just hope to continue to level up my Christianity, because there's so many different levels. I mean, I have so many friends of mine. I mean, my barber's one of them. Like, they're just at a different level.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And anybody who is intrigued, and it doesn't even have to be Christianity. I'm not here to push that on anybody. I don't think you are either. Whatever connection you have to that higher power, the moment that you start leaning in is the moment that I believe that you will begin to live more fulfilled.
Yeah.
So that's really what I'm feeling. You know what I mean? And I don't really wake up. I think my beautiful girlfriend feels it a little bit more than I do.
Right.
You know, like me and her, we have different walks as well. And she's definitely a step ahead.
Yep.
But I'm just trying to be better, man. Like, I'm really trying to be better. And I'm not just saying that because a lot of people like to say that these days. But the way that I get better is by reading the word and applying the knowledge in 2025.
Yep.
Because I think a lot of Christians also get caught up in, like, yes, you want to read the book, and I'm a firm believer of the book, but also the book was, i.e., many years ago, that it's not always applicable to today.
Correct.
Now you have to find your own interpretation that works for you and apply the knowledge and the wisdom from that and from that time period to now.
I will say I was an atheist for a long time.
What?
Yeah. Then I was heavy into my beliefs of Norse pagan.
I don't even know who that is.
It's
Is
like
that a person or a place?
it would be like what the Vikings used to believe in. So it's Odin and Thor, and it's more archetypical natures of tons of gods. And my whole back, my piece on my back, I was telling your boy, is just all Norse pagan, right? So, and then I converted to Christianity. The reason why I'm saying that is, you made a comment, and I don't want to quote it exactly, just about kind of leaning into that faith a little bit and this belief and this knowing, this conversion that I made, because going from believing in nothing to believing in only pain and pleasure, and then to believing that everything of good, bad, ugly, evil, agony, ecstasy all serves equal value in life, and that there's a higher reason why you experience everything, was part of the reason what made that conversion so easy. So you said something about like leaning into that faith, knowing that it has value and substance. And to me, you know, not that we're pushing anything on anybody, but that's definitely what that higher power definitely feels like to an extent. I want to go back into allowing your daughter to cry for a second, because that didn't leave my brain. And it's not necessarily about your daughter right now, but I think that that's something that I'd love to tap in with you about men.
Let's do it.
Because I see a generation, and a lot of my business that I deal with a lot of young men in and out of juvie centers, a lot of troubled youth, right? A lot of youth that were in gang violence, gang activity, or kids that grew up in broken households. And I love those men. Like, those are the men that I know, I feel like you and I probably really tap into the best. There's a lot of empathy and relatability there and stuff like that. What do you say to men who are being told, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, don't show the emotion, it's weak to cry, it's weak to show this, it's weak to do this, it's not manly, to where it's diminishing their own value, their own worth as a man in today's culture? And do you think that this new age alpha porn that we deal with, which, you know,
what is that?
So like alpha porn is like my own little catchphrase.
I never heard that. Okay.
So it's like my own little catchphrase that I made, where it's like that overbearing, it's almost like Goggins, but to an extreme.
Gotcha.
And it's like, if you don't do this, you're a loser, and blah, 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 blah. Everyone's got issues, dude. Everyone's got complications, and some things are more difficult for other people. And if you can't empathize with them, and you can't at least see them eye to eye, then there's no lifting those people up, right? Because now we're judging it from a place of superiority. That's what I mean by alpha.
Gotcha.
Hustle, grind, F you if you're a loser. Like, there's only that stuff, right? Do you think that that's damaging more of these men coming up in today's world?
I think yes and no.
Okay.
Right? I think the formula for ACE is our tagline, right? Which is bridging the gap between masculinity and vulnerability.
Love it.
I love David Goggins. But also I think it's up for interpretation because I do think that David Goggins is vulnerable to an extent.
Yeah.
You just have to interpret it, and you have to get past him doing 10,000 pull-ups and him running on broken legs and doing all that stuff. But if you listen to him, he's always talking about his limiting beliefs. And those limiting beliefs are vulnerabilities. And being okay with addressing those vulnerabilities is what I believe ACE does a little bit differently.
Love that.
Because we welcome that in. We assume that you are a macho man because you're here now, right? So you joined this group. If you knew nothing about it, you saw the way that we looked and you had the balls to come on in. But we stripped that down immediately. So we're like, cool, bro. Like, you made it. Nice to meet you. Like, you're here. Where do you need help in your life? Where are you struggling the most? Oh, you're struggling with anxiety and depression? These 12 are too. Oh, you're struggling with addiction? Oh, these 10 are too. Oh, you're coming out of a heartbreak and a divorce? Oh, I am too. Right? So we meet men exactly where they are. And there's not one guy in this group, Mike Press will tell you, that comes here and is like, oh my God, I don't fit in.
Right.
And I don't care if you're the most manly man in the world. We have real killers in there, bro. Like, we have dudes that have been to jail for years. We have dudes that will knock your head off. Like, and that's the other piece to it, right? Like, just because you're vulnerable doesn't mean that you're soft. It actually is a very significant sign of strength.
Correct.
And if you look at any level of mixed martial arts, MMA, you are in a vulnerable state. There is always a superior that you are showing love to, that you are in a vulnerable place. You're showing that respect to. Yes, a little bit.
I'm in.
But you're showing that respect. So the same way that you do that in mixed martial arts is the same way it is in personal and professional development.
Yep.
If you choose to join a community and you have respect for the atmosphere that's at hand, you're welcomed in, right? So we tell guys right away, it's okay not to be okay. We had a guy step up for the very first time. He came to one dinner, and it was just the recent one. He didn't know what to do. He kind of forgot his name, forgot what he did. He's not a public speaker, and he shook and he held that microphone and he just kind of broke down and said, I need help. Do you think the guys ran from him or ran to him?
No, they embraced him. Dude.
I mean, Mike will tell you, literally everybody probably felt it in there. Everybody, and they wanted to help that guy. That's the kind of environment that you need to be around. And honestly, anybody who's telling you that it's not okay to cry, they're broken. They're very broken. And even though we're all broken in our own way, we're here to help you break through. And I believe that if you do have that higher power that you're focused on, and you're also starting to live what we'll call the aligned action, that's the formula, right? Belief and aligned action. You got to be able to believe in yourself, and you have to be able to take the actions to live the life that you want to live. Because if you're believing in yourself and then you're not taking the actions, you're never going to hit.
There's no cohesiveness.
So we try to blend that for guys.
You know, I see a lot of men that don't know how to value the fragments. And what I mean by that is we've been broken. Like you said, we're all broken in our own ways, right? And there's a lot that I see happening where men typically, after being shattered, whether it's from loss, death, heartbreak, failure, rejection, abandonment, whatever it is, the pieces that survived after being shattered are always the strongest pieces left over. Those are the ones that have survived 100% of the darkest days, right? The 100% of the hardest days. And when you piece together back this puzzle and those fragments that are left over, what I see happening is most men, they pick apart the negative qualities of those fragments without actually appreciating the strength and the endurance that took them to piece themselves back into this new masterpiece. And what I see you doing, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're almost like this puzzle maker. And like, that's how I'm looking at you right now, like a legit puzzle maker, where you're allowing these fragmented pieces of these men to have a home, and you're not piecing them together. You're offering them the opportunity and the framework and the groundwork for them to piece themselves back together, rather than through hatred or animosity or resentment or grief or guilt or shame. You're allowing them to piece each other back together with love, community, appreciation, gratitude. dude, like if anyone is doing God's work on this planet, I'm sitting next to him, dude.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Like,
thank you.
It's incredible. It's incredible to see somebody now in this world that we live in where people lack identity, right? Everyone wants to be the next person. Everyone loses a sense of themselves trying to fit in or pigeonhole themselves and fit a mold. And like it's very rare now because of what Instagram and social media has afforded us with all of its capabilities. It's diminished a sense of identity. So it's unique for me where I like to pride myself on, I don't care if you like me, love me or not, like this, you're going to take me as I am, and sitting across from somebody else and not seeing it, but feeling it. Like feeling that you present yourself in a way of, yo, this is how it's going to be. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to give to you. Take it or leave it. Here's the antidote to life. And you're allowing these people to literally take hold of what you're saying. Dude, it's dope.
Thank you, my
to be
brother.
sitting next to that and also eventually be a part of that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I hope you understand genuinely when you rest your head down on a pillow at night what you're doing in this world. Like, I hope you think about that more often than not.
If I'm being honest, man, that's one of the things I struggle with most. I don't receive compliments too well, but before when I said like I receive that, I do receive that. But you're giving me so many compliments that it's kind of making me uncomfortable. And I'm being transparent. You know what I mean? Like in my heart, I'm so receptive to it. I want to feel it. But me, I'm so, this is again, one of the challenges in my current atmosphere now is really sitting back on that. And my people in my direct corner, you know, Sean, Joe K, Nick Menente, Mike Press, like these guys, my girl, they constantly tell me like, yo, you gotta, like, you're doing a lot, man.
Zoom out, bro.
But it's something that I am really working on.
Yeah.
And still absolutely don't have figured out. But also you said something important with the broken pieces. If anybody's listening to this podcast and feels any level of influence or inspiration, if we stop the podcast after you gave an intro of, he's got this new book, 30 Lessons to Lead. He's a keynote speaker. You know, he's a father. He's a man of God. And he's built Action Cultivates Excellence and the No Snooze podcast. And we ended there, would anybody be like, oh, that was a great episode? No. You probably latched on to the time where I'm telling you, like, I know what it's like to have my heart broken.
Yep.
I know what it's like to make a bad mistake from drinking too much and having my head in the toilet because I was throwing up. Those are the moments that people really latch onto. Now, you can't just be talking about that stuff and then not living on the other side.
Correct.
Because some people get that twisted too. Right, but that's where that blend of vulnerability and masculinity comes in. Because it's like, yo, I can meet you where you're at. I feel you. But just because you're broken does not mean that you can't break through. That's literally the tagline of my book, from breakdowns to breakthroughs.
Love
because
that.
I do believe on the other side of whatever mistake or whatever problem that you've encountered, you can and you will change your life. But you have to want that, right? Everybody else around you wants it for you.
100%.
But what you focus on magnifies. I had a moment with my daughter the other day. She's taking her camera out, and she's got this little Polaroid. It's real cute. She takes a picture, and it was nonsense. We couldn't even make out what it was, right? Because she just pointed and clicked, right? And she said, like, what is this? I said, baby, you gotta focus. So then she goes up to the plant, kind of like the one over there, and she takes this picture, and she holds it there. And the picture prints out, and it's a beautiful picture of a plant. And in my mind, I was like, that's leadership. That's personal professional development right there. If you focus on garbage, you're going to get a picture of garbage. But if you focus on something beautiful, you're going to get something beautiful 100%. Out of it. And that moment with her, and these are the things that I know it might sound crazy to somebody listening, but that little camera that 5-year-old girl just took a picture of, I was able to relate that right back for her so she can understand, look, when you go through life, and you don't really have an intention, this is what you get. But when you sit back and you take a deep breath and you take that picture of that tree and it comes out beautiful, that's what life is about. I said, do you understand? She's like, I do, Dada. I do. You know, like it's a real moment. And So yeah, I like to, that's also a big piece of my life that people who are close to me will understand. I look at these like everyday like situations and things, and I try to really make it relatable to everything that we're doing.
You know, there's a quote that I live by that the way we choose to see the world will always create the world that we see in front of us. Think about it.
Yes.
If you think crap, you're going to get crap. If you think ugly, you're going to get ugly. If you think beautiful, you're going to reverberate and receive beauty. If you think grateful, you're going to reverberate and receive gratitude, right?
Absolutely.
And I don't believe that somebody, going back to what you said, there's a tagline in your book that your breaking point is your breakthrough.
From breakdowns to breakthroughs.
Breakdowns to breakthroughs. Yep. That is something that I live by, because I don't think that you can have a great character with an easy life. The price of one is always going to be the cost of the other, right? And something that I do in a lot of speeches that I say is like breaking points or breakthroughs, rejections or redirections, obstacles or opportunities. That's the paradox of life. And something that I hope most men who do choose to listen to this understand, that through every trial, every persecution, every hardship that somebody goes through, you're an embodiment of it, right? An embodiment that no matter what you go through in life that may be stormy or dark, that there's always light and there's always going to be something at the end of that tunnel that you can grow and learn from. And that would be my wish for people listening to this today. So the one thing that I do want to ask you, right, before we cut it off is, if you're to take one thing out, right, of really what you're looking for to accomplish in what you're doing in these people's lives. And I'm sure you think about this a lot, right? I know you're serving. I know you're grateful. I know you are puzzle making left and right, right? I know you're giving to them, and I know you're creating community. You're expanding on what it is to be loving awareness for everybody around you. What is your ultimate goal that you really hope to achieve in life, if you had to put it into one thing that you could offer men, women, children, or anyone who's listening?
It's a great question, and it's on my heart to say I don't know.
I love that.
I don't know what my end goal is going to be, but I do know that legacy is very important to me. But I also think that a lot of people believe that legacy happens when you die. I believe that I'm living in my legacy right now. And I believe that the actions that I take on a daily basis and the people that I'm inspiring and impacting and uplifting is my legacy. And I also would say something almost combative to what you said before. When you are doing the gratitude and you're doing all the good things, that all of that is going to happen. I do believe that to an extent. But also there was a significant part of my life when I was praying every single day, and the opposite was happening.
Okay.
The opposite was going on in my life. Yeah. And I think more people can relate to this than not, because it's like, God, please bring me the financial abundance, bring me the relationship, bring me this, bring me that. And it's not happening. And I want to tell you that that's normal, because what's actually happening is he is hearing your prayer. But he's telling you that you're not ready yet. And he's preparing you for the thing that you're praying on. But the reality is, if I gave you that 100 million up front, you wouldn't have the tools and the appreciation necessary to make it withhold in your life.
100%.
You wouldn't know how to give 10 million up front to the church. You wouldn't know how to inspire anybody else. And if I gave you that relationship that you were praying on, you would screw it up. Because you're not ready yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you through these trials and these tribulations and these adverse moments in your life to make sure that when that queen comes your way, you're fully prepared. And I think if there's one message that I can leave today, it would be that. There's no formula that's going to make you change and go from this shitty life that you have to an abundantly filled life. It doesn't happen. It's not going to be my book. It's not going to be the podcast. It's not it. But if you start living faithful and you believe in that higher power and you start taking those actions, I believe the breakthrough is coming. So if there was anything that I could say to kind of, leave us with today, it would be that. But the end goal, to answer the question, I don't really know. I want to help as many people as humanly possible.
You already live in probably so many different parts of your dreams that you already made for yourself, I assume, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, dude.
You know, but that's hard too, because if you would have told me 5 years ago that I would be here, even in this moment, right, where somebody else on a podcast would want me to come on their podcast, I would have been like, yeah, that's the goal. Or if, you know, I had an opportunity to speak in front of 25,000 entrepreneurs, like that would be the goal. If I had a beautiful daughter, you know, and a queen by my side, like that would be the goal. I do have all those things. I don't struggle to pay my bills financially. Like I have that, right? Do I want more of everything? Yes, but I also am in a season of my life too of deep appreciation and gratitude.
Yeah, man.
So even though I want more, I'm still very grateful for where I'm at right now.
I think that's the antidote to life is gratitude.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Brother, I appreciate you coming on more than anything, dude.
Yeah, man. Listen, this was, I think like you said earlier, this was a long time coming. Grateful for the platform. I'm honored to inspire hopefully one person today, whether that was you or anybody even sitting in this room, that I think the job is done. I think we're very aligned, and I'm excited to, you know, continue the relationship with you, and I want to know how I can support and help you any way possible.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, man. And I would like an opportunity to kind of bless your listeners with an opportunity to get the book.
Yeah, please.
So we can create a code, and we'll do 15% off for your listeners. You want to do? Give me a code, man. Come up with
Mindful 15.
Mindful 15.
Mindful 15.
There you go. So
Beautiful.
Mindful 15. You can get a copy of the book at davereggina.com, and you can enter that code in right there. And yeah, man, I'm excited to continue the path with you.
God bless, dude. Thank you.
God bless you, my brother. Thank you. Thank you guys for tuning in. That's another epi in the books. You can follow us on Instagram at No Snooze Podcast and leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, No Snooze. Shop the latest merch at nosnoozeshop.com. Come on.